12:30. We should be streaming now.
Oh. I'm trying to get into Vimeo, but it's giving me trouble.
With this. So at 12:30 I can just switch over to Ryan and you can start talking.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
And it'll be live?
Yeah. Yeah, go sit down for me for a second, please.
Okay. If I hold the rocks like up here at my face, can you see them somewhat?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got you from pretty much your belly button on up.
Okay. Okay, that should be.
Hey,
Should be good.
I've got Vimeo up, you can Facebook up.
Do.
And what I'll do between each of these, I'll just stick that stay connected thing up on the disc so you know where. It won't be an abrupt, like Ryan going to Steven or,
I got you.
you know what that means.
But the Ryan's is going to be only live.
Right. Yep. Okay, it should be going at 12:30, so you got ready to go. You tell me when I need to give you a countdown.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I start when he's at 0, or do I start and you wait and you confirm it's on? What are you doing?
I'll do this.
I'm going to give you a countdown, Ryan. Okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Hey, Open Door. It's Pastor Ryan here. I hope you're having a great Monday. I just want to give you a little heads up of something to look for this week. As you know, we still are not able to be together due to the COVID-19 coronavirus that's going around. And something that became a tradition at our church a few years ago is something called Journey to the Cross. And it's an experience where you get to literally walk through the journey that Jesus himself took to get to the cross and kind of think on and grow in your faith through this experience. And so through this week, what we wanted to do was kind of walk you through that experience. Even though you couldn't be in the building, even though you couldn't experience it with us live, we wanted you to be able to do that in some way. So what I want to encourage you to do is when these come on every day around lunchtime, what I would hope and what I would ask you to do is find a place that you can get off by yourself and just spend about 10 minutes. That's all we're going to ask you to do is spend about 10 minutes by yourself listening to these, reflecting, and really honing in on what's going on in your faith and in your relationship with Jesus during this time. So what I would do when I didn't work at a church, I worked at a doctor's office at one point, and I would go get in my car and I would just spend some time in that car eating, just enjoying the weather, and I would just encourage you to find a place that you can do that today. So I want to just take a couple minutes, and we're going to start at the beginning. Now, you may think that the beginning of this journey is when Jesus is born, but we're actually going to go even before that. We're going to go to the earliest point that we can as humans go, and that is the point of creation. Now, if you've been around church, you've experienced Christianity in any way, then you know that creation for us occurred in 7 days, and we saw over the 7 days that God created everything that we know, that we can see. He created the stars, the skies, the heavens, the earth. He created everything on the earth, the animals, the plants, the oceans, everything that we know, God created. And after everything that He created, He said that it was good. He said that it was something that He was pleased with, that it was essentially perfect. And He got to the day that He created humans, and He created man. And He saw that man wasn't good being alone, and He created woman out of man. And now He had created pretty much what we could interpret as the perfect world. People may describe it as like a utopia where everything is great. Now, I want you to think with me, what does your perfect world look like? I think we could all come up with different definitions of what a perfect world would be, and I don't have time to go into maybe all of the things that I would envision. But I would envision for me, since everything, and we're in a new season going into spring, I would envision something that had to deal with weather that was like 60 or 70 degrees. Every now and then it's a rainy day, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's nice weather where you can go outside. You're not going to get burned. I got some of that fair skin. I got to put on some SPF 100 or whatever the highest is, all that kind of stuff. But I would love to just be able to go outside. There'd be a nice little breeze and it'd just be a beautiful day. That to me is perfection. But even beyond a perfection in a weather or a forecast, everything on earth was perfect. Even the relationships were perfect. I mean, you think about the relationships that we have in our life today, the relationship between people and God, it was perfect. They literally could feel and see God walking around the garden. They knew when he was there. They could sense him in the garden as he would walk around. Their relationship was perfect. Now, I don't want to get into your junk mail too much, but I know that many of us would say that there are a lot of relationships that we have with other people that are strained. There are moments that relationships with other people are difficult, whether it be with a spouse or it be with a child or a parent or it be with someone we work with. We all have these struggles in our relationships with other people. But it was perfect back then at the beginning of creation. And then we look and we see the relationship between people and creation itself, the earth. And it was perfect. And I know we don't have time and it's not a discussion that we need to get into, but we look around us and we can see that the world itself is not perfect. We have things that are going on, the weather and tornadoes, hurricanes, even sicknesses that are going around show us the earth is no longer perfect as it is. So as we talk through this today, I want us to remember what it was like. I want us to remember what God intended for it to be like, that it was intended to be perfect in all those areas. And whatever that looks like for you, find some good and find what you think it looked like at that point. But we all know that it didn't stay that way and that, unfortunately, perfection didn't last. That there came what we call the fall, where Adam and Eve fell into temptation and they ate of the fruit. And now this thing called sin entered into the world. And really what sin brought into the world was an awareness of the brokenness that there could now be. There was a brokenness that entered into the world. Romans chapter 6 verse 23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." And I mentioned earlier that we can look around and we can see the brokenness that's in our world. We can see the hurt and the pain that's going on around us even now. And it's really sad. It's hard to do that. I know for me, I've traveled around a lot of different places, and what I try to do when I go to those places is I try to see the good. I try to find the good, but the honesty, if I'm being honest, I've seen some really hard things in the places that I visited. I've seen how the fall, I've seen how sin has broken our world, it has broken people, and it's broken even that relationship that we have with God. I mean, our current world is full of viruses, of racial and political divides. It's full of broken marriages and people that are hurting. It's full of loneliness and hopelessness. You see, we see brokenness all around us. And so if we were here today and you were doing this journey with me, when you walked in at the point where we talked about the fall, you would pick up a rock. And the rock, it wouldn't be that big. It would be easily fit in your hand. And you could probably actually take at least 2 stones and put them in your hand. And we would say, hey, walk around this entire journey with these rocks in your hand. And if you do that for an hour, it may become a little annoying, but it's not going to be overwhelming. But as I thought about this and I looked at even my own life, there are often times where we walk around and the rocks that we carry aren't this big. They're maybe a little bit bigger. They're maybe about this big. We walk around with a rock, and this has a little more weight to it. But there may be some of us that are watching, and some people that you know, and even during this time, they're walking around with a rock that's this big. Or maybe even worse, they have a book bag or a purse full of these rocks that they carry around, and after a while, it becomes almost too much to carry and to bear. You see, the truth is that sin has caused our world to be broken. It caused the earth to be full of hurt and pain, and it caused there to be these moments where we do feel hopeless. And I don't want to ruin the rest of this journey for you, but I couldn't leave today on this horrible and very depressing note, because I do want to remind you that while the rocks that we carry may feel like this, they may feel heavy and they may weigh us down, in only a few short days, we're going to see how the brokenness that came into this world was healed. It was through Jesus. And I believe that we don't have to walk around with these rocks because of it. I believe that even though there will be hurt and there will be brokenness around us, it doesn't have to weigh us down to the point we don't have to carry this rock and this burden alone. And so I want to encourage you today that you can experience this hope and this healing even as we go through this journey this week. Like I said, there's going to be different pastors that are going to come to you every single day, and they're going to walk you through this journey. And as we start, we need to think back and remember how it all started. That the original plan that God had for us, the original plan that God had for this earth was there to be perfection, it to be where we could have just perfect relationships with God and with other people, even with the planet in which we live. And brokenness and sin destroyed that. But we're no longer there. But He also sent a solution to help us. And so I hope throughout this journey that you find yourself closer to God than you've ever been before, that you're encouraged through this, and that you no longer have to carry a rock, that you don't have to carry this, that you can give your rock, you can give your burdens to Jesus, and He'll carry them with you. I hope you have a great Monday. We'll see you again tomorrow.